Hey everyone.
Hi.
It's a sweet recipe today. Not one for me.
No, coffee.
Tiramisu.
Shucks. You're not going to be able to have any then.
The idea behind this recipe is that it serves two, so it can be like, you know, if you're doing a romantic dinner, but I don't drink coffee, so
just
Erika gets double.
Also, what I think is great about it, just being it serves two, is a lot of times with, you know, keto dessert recipes, you end up with 8 serves or something, and it's like if you're perhaps the only person doing keto in your household, you've then got 8 serves of tiramisu you need to eat, which is probably not ideal. So I love that this serves two. If there's 2 of you who eat tiramisu, it's perfect just to have dessert with no leftovers. Or, you know, one person can have it 2 nights, so that's good.
It's also good because the cake portion is a mug cake, so it's actually quite a reasonably quick recipe to put together.
Yeah, there are a few steps involved in it, but it's relatively straightforward. So what we're going to do first is make our mug cake. That's going to be like the cake, you know, it's normally the biscuit layer, I think, in the tiramisu, but this makes it super easy because you don't have to bake anything. So what we've got in here is a tablespoon of melted butter, some instant coffee, and just a little bit of boiling water. So I've just mixed those together.
So this is the instant coffee we use. So the recipe calls for hazelnut flavour, which we found in the supermarket. Moccona has a hazelnut flavour, but if you can't find instant coffee with the hazelnut flavour, just use regular instant coffee.
Yeah, and it smells really delicious.
Yeah.
I guess you could also just use a shot of espresso and just leave out the boiling water, but this is how we're making it. So if you've got whatever instant coffee you have, so that's our kind of liquid part, and now we're going to get our dry ingredients. So we have got some hazelnut flour. Again, if you don't have hazelnut flour, you could substitute it with almond flour
or any nut flour.
Not any nut flour.
Oh, not coconut. But coconut's not a nut. Is it?
Yeah. Is it a nut? What is it?
It's a fruit.
It's a fruit. So we've got a tablespoon of hazelnut flour, a tablespoon of coconut flour, and then we're going to add in some sweetener. So we're using this sucrin icing sweetener. So it's a 1-for-1 sugar replacement, but it's nice and fine like icing sugar. So I'm just going to add in a couple of tablespoons of that. As always, in the description below, we will link the full recipe if you want to try this one yourself. So just give these a bit of a mix up.
Did you do this?
I haven't, no. So we need a teaspoon of baking powder. And I'm just going to pop in a pinch of salt. So that is our dry ingredient. So we're just going to pop the coffee mixture into here. And Dan, you might want to get the coconut spray and just spray that mug for me. So we've got our coffee and our nut flours kind of mixed up in here, and then we're just going to add in an egg. So we just want to mix up the egg with the cake batter.
Look at this. This is the mug we're using. I don't know if you can see, but it says Erika in it.
So it's a good idea if you have a mug that's kind of straight rather than one that goes in at the bottom. It'll just be a bit easier. You know, you'll get more even layers because we're going to cut it up into our cake layers.
The other hot tip is if you're going for a pretty presentation, we like to serve them in a glass like this. And you want the diameter of the glass to be quite close to the diameter of your mug. So you can see that they're quite similar to each other so that they're going to fit in there perfectly.
So that is our cake mixture all ready. So we've just greased this with a little bit of coconut oil spray, or you could use butter. And we're going to pop this in. And then we're just going to cook it in the microwave on high for 1 minute.
Mug cakes are quite a popular thing in the keto world. We don't make them very often.
No, we really don't.
At all, but you can see how simple that is. And if you were looking for just a cake, you could also just make the cake part of this.
This would be nice just with some like whipped cream or something, or ice cream. Delicious. So let's cook it. Okay, so we've just popped our cake in the microwave for 1 minute and then we let it cool down. We took it out, it just really popped out of the mug, I think because we'd sprayed it with the coconut oil spray, and we're just going to let it cool completely while we prepare the kind of cream mixture. So we'll just set that aside. So what we have done is separated 1 egg, and I've whipped up the egg white until it's stiff peaks.
You get so much volume out of that.
I know, right? And now we are going to work on the rest of the mixture. So we have 1 lone little egg yolk here, and I'm going to pop in 2 tablespoons of the sucre and icing mixture. What I'm going to do is just run it through a sieve because it is a little bit lumpy and we don't want to have lumps in our mixture.
That just makes me think of highfalutin low carb. Sift, y'all.
We're not big sifters, are we?
No, but I like his YouTube videos.
So I'm just going to push that through the sieve. And then what we're going to add in here is some vanilla, a little pinch of salt, and we're going to whisk that up. Okay, so a teaspoon of vanilla.
Oh, I thought you were just going to go...
Wing it?
Yeah.
Wouldn't dream of it, Dan. I never do that.
Freaks me out. If I'm not watching.
I never measure anything. Pinch of salt. And then we're just going to whisk this egg yolk up. Now I've got, the beaters have a bit of white on them. That's okay, but you wouldn't want to do it the other way. So when you're doing the whites, you want clean beaters. Okay, so you can see that's gone kind of a lot paler and thickened up a little bit, the egg yolk. So now we're going to add in our 1/2 cup of mascarpone and then whisk this together just for a minute or 2.
So we find the mascarpone like just at the supermarket. This is Woolworths brand. It's usually kind of where the ricotta and the cream cheese. And there's normally only like 1 or 2 options, so you're gonna look for it, but it'll be there.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm just gonna whisk these together. Okay.
So is that just kind of just combined it all together?
Yeah, so you're just combining it together there. So you can see this is pretty kind of thick and rich. So now we just want to use the egg whites to kind of lighten it up a bit and give it a bit of air. So we'll just take, probably I would take 1/2 of the egg white mixture and fold that through just to kind of break up this really thick mixture. So you can be a little bit, I don't know what the word is, I was going to say rough, not rough, but
firm.
You don't have to be too delicate. You want to try and keep the whites, but you also want to see how that's kind of just lightened the mixture up a lot. So now when we add this part in, we'll just try and be a little bit more delicate. And you want to be using like a spatula at this stage, not
a wooden spoon.
Or not the electric beaters or a whisk or anything. Just folding it. Just until all the big lumps of egg white are gone. And that is how we make the kind of cream mixture for our tiramisu. So now we are ready to assemble. Okay, so we have our glasses here and we're just going to assemble them. So what we're going to do is a layer of the cream mixture on the bottom and then a slice of the cake and then some more of the cream mixture on the top. So we just want to use about 1/4 of this in each glass. Try and be patient. I'm not very good at that. Just give it a jiggle to shake it down. So now we're going to put our cake layer. So we've just got our mug cake here that's completely cooled down now. So we're just going to cut it in half. And then we're just going to fit this into the glass. So you can see what Dan was saying before about it kind of being a similar circumference.
Just the size, because if it's too big, then you got to try and cut the cake down.
Yeah.
I think it just works if they're close.
Yes. So now there's a little bit sticking out there, so I just cut that off to make it sit in nicely and press it down a little bit. And then we're just going to sprinkle a little bit of brandy on the top. This part is completely optional, or you could use, you know, whatever alcohol you prefer. So I'm just going to do half a teaspoon on each cake. And then we're going to pop the rest of our cream mixture on. It's kind of the perfect size glass, these ones.
I think we bought them for this purpose, if I remember correctly. Because most of our mugs are that kind of, like Erika was saying, the kind of curving up, and the cake will come out in that shape. So we had to use this one straight mug that we had.
Okay, looks pretty good. And then the last part is just dusting a little bit of cocoa, or we don't have cocoa, we've got cacao powder on the top. So I've just got a little strainer, and I'll just try not to make a mess of this.
You will.
But that makes it look so pretty.
It really just tops it off, doesn't it?
Yeah. I think what's good about these as well is they are a good make ahead option. So if you were having like a special dinner, you could make these and pop them in the fridge, and then almost as it sits, it gets better because the cake kind of absorbs all the other flavors. And how pretty do they look? Yum.
Are you going to try it? You don't want to ruin it. I knew you were going to say that. This is what you should do. A little bit of cake there. I'm going to make her own
make me a mini tiramisu.
There we go.
Okay.
Who said I couldn't cook?
So normally, I guess on a tiramisu, you would drench they use the crunchy kind of biscuits, which you drench in coffee. So instead of doing that, we've used the coffee flavored mud cake. So that's where the coffee comes from. Oh yeah, yum.
Why don't you make that more?
I don't know. Probably because you don't eat it.
Yeah, probably.
It seems selfish to make it just for myself, but I'm not mad about it. So any coffee lovers out there, or tiramisu lovers, definitely give this recipe a try. It's honestly pretty easy. I know it seemed like we had a lot of ingredients, but it's not that hard. And making the mud cake really does make it pretty simple.
Make sure you give it a go, guys. And if you like this recipe, give it a thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching.
Bye.
Bye.